I watched the first 25 episodes of Kamen Rider Zero-One. Let's talk about it today on Nerd Culture News, where I bring you facts about fiction. To start off, let me give some context that Kamen Rider Zero-One is my first Kamen Rider series. I grew up being a Power Rangers fan, watching Big Bad Beetleborgs and pretty much any other type of shows similar to that I could get my hands on, but I didn't really start even diving into Super Sentai until probably about 2 or 3 years ago. But for whatever reason, I've always felt a little bit intimidated by Kamen Rider, mostly being where to jump in at. The seasons feel so vastly different in a lot of ways that I needed to find one that met my theme. And for whatever reason, I just settled on Zero-One being a good place to start for me. Now I'll have to say, I think that it is a fantastic starter Kamen Rider show. I like the fact that with the Human Gear stories, a lot of the time we're diving into the art and soul behind specific items in our day-to-day lives and like the way that people perceive them. I think that this is a really fun concept to explore when we're talking about an artificial intelligence. Now, when it comes to the main character, Aruto is fun. He starts out as a comedian, a failing comedian in a park, but then he goes and inherits like this huge company that's the ones that invented these robots that pretty much just run society. But by doing so, he also had to take on the mantle of Kamen Rider Zero-One, something that we find out later his dad had invented. Now, with Aruto, he plays a role that feels like he is us in this world. He is usually very clueless, but he is a very nice person. He will go out of his way to help people, and he really wants to show the world like the peace that these Human Gear robots can bring to the world. Let's talk about the actual fighting aspect to this. Since this is my first series, I am very familiar with like the Power Ranger type of fighting and stuff. So this wasn't too big of a leap. I like the transformation sequences though, that they happen in the scene. It's not like a cut to transformation thing that you get with Power Rangers and Super Sentai. It's like while it's happening, they have these guns that they shoot, some of the characters, not Kamen Rider, his little Genshin gear thing is a belt, which is very common apparently in Kamen Rider, but the other people, they have like a gun that shoots out a bullet that whips around and then comes out with them. So then whatever creature their Kamen Rider like armor represents has like a little fight either with the person that they're fighting or with somebody else that's transforming at the same time. I thought that was a really fun visual thing for while they're fighting. And it also kind of gives a thing of why they're not just being attacked while they're in the middle of the transformation sequence, which is something that like will annoy pretty much anyone that has been like even a superhero fan. Like, are we really going to sit here and let you do your thing? Anime is also horrible about this. So it was cool that they have a written in way that the transformations make sense. As for our supporting characters, I'm not even going to sit here and pretend that I learned all of their names. Like, I am not good with Japanese. I knew Aruto because he's the main character. I know Is or Iso. I'm not sure. Like, it's spelled Is, but they say Iso. I guess that's just the Japanese way of saying it. I like her a lot as the straight-faced sidekick that's trying to understand Aruto's humor. I love them together. They are great. Then we have Bad Wolf Yamcha guy that sometimes turns into a gorilla. He is a cop with aims, which I guess is a private detective like cop thing. I don't know. Things are different in Japan a little bit. I don't know if that's just how things work, that it's private agencies there more than like here. So basically Bad Wolf's whole like persona is he does not like the Human Gear. Like he's slowly coming around like where we're at, coming close to like episode 25. Like he has his moments of it, but like some tragedy happened to him when he was a kid. He is very against them. And he is like our straight-faced, like antagonisty kind of rival character to Zero-One Aruto. So like I enjoy him. I like the fact that he shows up a lot to help, even though he is not like always teaming up with him. Like he causes a lot of problems for Zero-One just about as much as he helps him. And then we have Little Miss Cheetahbug, who is also like with aims at first helping out, but she works for a different company. She's just kind of contracted in there, and she's the one that brings the Kamen Rider gear to herself and Bad Wolf. It's kind of cool to see their powers coming from a different organization than Zero-One's, because then it's not kind of like the Power Rangers where they're all like one group. It feels like there's different kind of factions going on here. I hope this whole faction thing where you don't have all your powers centralized, like like you do with the Power Rangers a lot of time. Usually that's reserved for like the Sixth Ranger and Power Rangers and Super Sentai. So it's kind of cool that we have these different areas that it's coming from, and I hope that that's something I see in on the other Kamen Rider series, because I do want to jump into like a bunch of different series and review them as well, because I have been enjoying Zero-One so much, and I am going to at least finish up this one, review the movies, and I have some other content that is related to it coming up as well. The one thing I will say about Cheetah Bug that makes me a little bit sad is her role in this second arc that we're getting with like the Thousand Sunny guy. I'm going to call him the Thousand Sunny guy because, like I said, I do not know their names. So she works for the Thousand Sunny guy, and it is like a whole thing where she kind of plays like a back role in this second arc, this second like villain arc, and it kind of makes me sad because like she was a really cool character in the first half. I'm hoping that once we deal with the Thousand Sunny and she gets to step back up again, that we see a lot more of her, you know, actually getting to be in the fights instead of being like subservient to the Thousand Sunny. So let's talk about the villains. All right, the first villains that we have, I'm going to call them the Skids. They remind me of the Skids from Letterkenny. It's two guys. They're both robots, and they basically kind of just live in a room, and they just go around. And I like, I'm going to call him Little Skid, and then Big Skid is going to be the one that has the band around his head that runs things. Like I said, we're going to be coming up with nicknames for these characters because I don't want to insult everyone with how horrible the pronunciations is. So Little Skid, he's the mischievous one. He's always just going up to random human gears and be like, hey, here's a belt, and then turning them into like these like evil Kamen Rider type things, which I like actually seeing more suits than just weird creatures like I do with Super Sentai. Like I enjoy weird creatures a lot of the time, but I do like this like Kamen Rider versus Kamen Rider feel that we get in a lot of episodes. I think that it makes it feel like a higher stake, even though sometimes the suits very much just feel like recycled. Oh, let me go and take parts from other suits, you know, which is fine. If you're going to be making that many, by all means, recycle some. They're cool villains, you know, they're basically you have Arc that is like sending them these ideas that humans are bad, we're going to take down the humans, blah, blah, blah. So they're like our first wave of robot controlled villains where we know what they're about. They end up getting taken down, but then another company steps up to go and challenge Zero-One. So after dealing with the Skids in the first big arc, then you have Zaya being the next big thing, which is like basically a battle of different technologies with Arito's company being Hayden that basically deals with the robots. This guy has like a Google Glass, essentially. It's a thing that connects to your ear, and then whatever glasses you're wearing gives you information that's supposed to be able to enhance whatever that you're doing, showing that humans still do a better job than the human gears do. And it just ends up being like competitions that are almost always something that is like where there's cheating going on. There's also the aspect of the Thousand Sunny guy from Zaya. He is like has his own armor that's of course got to be stronger than Zero-One, that he keeps beating him down, and it just becomes like a thing of like competition after competition. I will say I don't think that this arc was as strong. I got a little tired of just seeing the Thousand Sunny always be able to just walk in and mollywomp them. But the one thing that was good about this arc is we did get that metal armor for Zero-One, and it was like the whole struggle of him being like, oh, I can't control it, but then like the goodwill that he's put forward and helping all these other human gears with their, you know, little like things throughout the story so far. Like they put all of their will into like this into like their little cassette tape key thing that turns him back to where now he can control it, and now he's able to stand up to Thousand Sunny. But then now we have like the Skids coming back, and you know it's really good so far. I'm enjoying it. I probably should have done less episodes to review because I know that this season got a little bit mixed up being during COVID, during the pandemic. So I understand that it was a little bit of a mix up from a normal season. I still feel like doing 25 episodes is a good idea. I might throw in a few specials for the second half of reviewing this. But no, I enjoyed it. I am going to watch more Kamen Rider. I have a lot more stuff coming up in like the next week that involves Kamen Rider Zero-One, and hopefully next weekend I will be able to have the second half of this out. Are you a Kamen Rider fan? Like, tell me what I should be watching next. I've been looking at X-Aid. I'm looking at a few Sentai series to also review on this, and I do want to do Black Sun here soon. So I want to do a bigger dive into this. I am very new to this. Correct me where I'm wrong. I know that I'm probably getting a lot of things wrong about this. Like, I am very fresh to this franchise, but if you are enjoying what I'm doing here, please let me know so I know to continue to make these videos. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up, comment so we can talk about this cool show that I'm just getting into. Subscribe, because that tells me that I need to keep making this stuff. And as always, have yourself a beautiful day.